everybody, welcome to another episode of Widgets and Wonders. This is my show about great products from small companies. Now, today we're going to take a look at some stuff from the Small Terrain Company. They made some great ruins that you've seen in my Frostgrave and Mordheim games. They do a lot of cool 28mm stuff that can be usable for fantasy, for World War II, anytime you want to have sort of like some ruined hamlets or generic like hedgerow, stuff like that. Now they've got a crowdfund going right now, but this stuff's already in production. He's got it available on his website. It's just a crowdfund, I think, to get more of it made. And it's for some really nice silicone, flexible, or resin bridges and rivers. And I got some sent along by Andy, so we can take a look at them right now. I've painted up a bunch, but I left some unpainted so you can actually see the material, because this is not a common material, silicone, for a lot of people to see stuff cast in. And I wanted to show you what it looks like and then what I did to it to give it sort of like a finished look. And so you can kind of see it from both sides. So anyway, let's take a look right now at the rivers, and there's a bridge as well. Actually, it's not painted yet, so you can see it in its unfinished state, from a Small Terrain Company. All right, so here we have it, some finished and unfinished stuff. I'm gonna show you the unfinished stuff first. So first of all, we have a resin bridge. This is exactly what you think of it as, standard tabletop like quality resin. It's been cast by hand, and it's ready to go right out of the box. What I'm gonna do to paint this, I'll do the exact same thing I do with my ruins. I'm gonna rattle can prime it. When I say rattle can, I mean spray paint, like DIY store spray paint, like a chocolate brown, and then just give it lots of good dry brushing. I'll probably do the stones as stones and do this the same color as the actual edges of the whatchamacallit over here, the rivers. And then the rivers, these are cast in silicone. So you can see, again, hand sculpted, and then they've been gravity poured. So this shiny side here you can see is where there's an open side to the pour. So it's been poured into a mold, gravity mold, and then let dry, and then it gets peeled out, and it's all done in sections. And they're 1 foot and I believe 6-inch sections. So it should fit your standard size gaming board. And what's neat about these is they have lots of little textures too. So little bits of rock and stuff on them, and then some sculpted sort of like running water texture, which is really nice. Now they're done in, I think, silicone. It feels like a silicone mold. It could be some other composite, but there's the dull side you can see is the side that was against the mold here. It took a surface primer really well. I wouldn't mess around with spray paint on these because you never know what an etching agent's going to do to a soft rubbery material like this. But I used the Vallejo airbrush primer, so sandable airbrush primer, and it was fine. So I used a black one, and it just was perfect. Like, it just finished it. Now it might have to go on because of the texture. You want to up your pressure a little bit just to push the actual primer into the cracks and the recesses, which I had to do, and let it dry for like a good amount of time, because obviously it's trying to adhere to something that's got relatively little tooth to it because it's a silicone. But once that was done, it was good to go. And then the rest of it I actually painted with my airbrush afterwards. So you can see what's cool about this is they'll actually conform a little bit to hills. So you can even have this sitting up on a hill, and I'll show you in a second what that's gonna look like. And so here is some of the river already painted up. Now the reason I painted it without any grass and stuff to make it match my mats is I was actually using it as underground rivers for Frostgrave. So I didn't want to do too much growing stuff on them just yet, because the growing stuff would obviously not necessarily be underground. So I've just left the sides dirt for now. I may go and turf them actually afterwards, so I can use these as sort of like outdoor maps for various different games. Now you can see, here's the benefit of the rubber. If you do have contours on your table, you can have them flow up and down. They will bend. And obviously they're not gonna be perfectly contoured. Like, there's a tiny little gap right here and right here. But for the most part, it's pretty inconspicuous. Like, I know water doesn't work that way. It doesn't go uphill and then downhill again, unless there's like a very, very good reason. Like it's very recently done. But you can have your water come downhill. So if you have a hill at the edge of your map and you want to have water coming down that hill, these will let you do that. It's really handy because water actually adds a lot to a lot of different games. Adds a lot to War Machine, adds a lot to Malifaux. And it's just a really cool, unique feature. And he did lots of different sizes and bits of things too. So there's a Y junction here. This one has a ford in it. So it's a spot where you could actually probably cross it without having a bridge. And it just gives you a lot of sort of like options for how you want it to be. I got about enough to fill up a good chunk of a 3x3 table. So I could have a river going across it, or kind of like a Y shape through it and stuff. And that's probably what it's gonna mostly be used for, is 3x3 games. So thanks so much, Andy, for sending this to me. It's super cool. Really like it. And I think it is a handy product for adding some water to your boards. Now, if you want to know more about how I painted this, obviously airbrush primed. I dry brushed it afterwards. So everything was brown. I airbrushed in the blues, a dark blue and a light blue for the water. And then dry brushed all my browns on top of the browns for the edges. after airbrushing like the base coat down. And then the sort of gloss effect here isn't water effect, it's just gloss varnish, just hand painted on. Give everything a good amount of time to dry because you want to make sure that the tooth of the primer has had time to adhere, because obviously this is a very slick surface. Once that was done, I made sure that I let it dry for a good time so that it was stuck on there, because the dry brushing can get aggressive, right? You can accidentally kind of like wear stuff off. And then that was given a good amount of time to dry, and then the gloss varnish was put over top, and it gave a nice sort of glossy water effect when it was finished. So they look great. Had a lot of fun painting them. Actually, they're super easy to paint. I think I painted them all in about 2 hours after like if you took out the drying time of like sitting and waiting for stuff to dry, they were really quick and easy to do. So check them out. There'll be links in the video description below for his crowdfund and his website. So there you go, another great product from a small company. I hope you enjoyed looking at those flexible silicone rivers and the bridge from Small Terrain Company. So if you guys know of another great product from a small company you don't think's given enough attention, you can have them email me at guerrillametrigames@gmail.com or Facebook message me at facebook.com/outofthe-basement-in-the-streets, and I'll do my best to put it in front of as many people as possible. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you for more Widgets and Wonders in the future. Till then, I'm Ash. Have a good day.